Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
Also, if you are looking for something new and different for the upcoming Compliance Week celebration in November, check out The Compliance Kids. It's my 3-book children's series on compliance and compliance professionals for children. But they make great gifts and great training tools for your employees. You can check it out on Amazon.com. We've linked to it in the show notes. The Daily Compliance News for October 30, 2024, the Power of Podcasting edition. And we begin with that story from the BBC in which Rhianna Croxford tells a story about how her reporting and podcast series, the Abercrombie Guys, led to the arrest of Mike Jeffries, former CEO of Abercrombie, as well as his partner Matthew Smith and their middleman, James Jacobson, for running basically sex rings for young men. It was her reporting which uncovered this, and she reported it through a podcast format. So if you've ever wondered about the power of podcasting, well, now you know. Next up from the Financial Times, PwC's profits fall in Asia Pacific after scandals in China and Australia. PwC's business shrank over the past year after scandals caused it big trouble and losing clients in China and forced it to sell its government consulting arm in Australia. The twin scandals in Asia-Pac compounded a slowdown in the consulting market that's crimped the growth of other rivals as well. Next up from Reuters, the state of Texas, once again, does an illegal unconstitutional act when it passed a law that restricts the building and operation of transmission lines to companies already running such facilities in the state as unconstitutionally discriminating against out-of-state energy providers. The court found that Texas's attempt to allow only Texas companies to obtain approval for transmissions lines from the Public Utility Commissions was indeed an unconstitutional act because it discriminated against out-of-state companies. So once again, state of Texas can't seem to get their affairs in order. Finally, from Bloomberg, Chris Hughes, columnist, asks if Boeing shareholders are complicit in its mess. In a really interesting piece, he says that Boeing shareholders really enjoyed the profits that Boeing made over the years leading up to the 737 MAX crashes, and that questions whether or not they're complicit, obviously because they took the shareholder increase in value, but the question is always, what did the shareholders say did they have in any of this? But nevertheless, it's a provocative question I think is worth exploring. So check it out. As I mentioned at the start of this podcast, the sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Well, Ethico has a great new offering this month for you, a toolkit for middle managers. This is something that you, as the compliance professional, can use to move your compliance program forward by giving middle managers the skills necessary to answer a call for speak up or when someone comes in their office and raises a concern. I can't think of a tool that will be more valuable for you in the current era of enforcement. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.